She stood up with a wine glass in her hand and that smug little grin that always meant trouble. "Hey everyone!" she shouted, like she was about to give a toast or announce she was pregnant or something. The backyard went quiet, a few people laughing nervously, thinking it was a joke. Me? I already knew I wasn't gonna like where this was headed. I was standing near the grill, beer in hand, talking to some coworkers about work stuff. Casual, comfortable, the kind of laid-back Saturday afternoon you look forward to all week. Daryl and Maria had their usual fish fry going, coolers full of beer, kids running around, folding chairs in circles like we were one big happy neighborhood. Then my wife decided to light a match and drop it. She raised her glass like a damn Oscar winner. "Just so y'all know," she said, slurring slightly, "me and my husband are trying something new. We're in a free-range marriage now." She let that sink in. Then she laughed, loud, like she'd just said the most clever thing anyone had ever heard. Quick note: before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. Nobody laughed back. I felt all their eyes swing toward me. Half of them probably didn't even know what the hell that meant, and the other half were waiting to see if I was going to flip a table or start crying. But I didn't blink. I set my beer down, walked a couple steps closer, and locked eyes with her. "Fine by me," I said, cool as I could manage. Her face twitched just a little, like she hadn't planned for that response. Then I turned toward Lena, her old college friend, the one who always sat quiet in the background with a raised eyebrow whenever my wife pulled this kind of drama. She was standing near the deck, sipping white wine and looking like she'd been waiting for this moment for years. "You free Friday night?" I asked. "I owe somebody a steak dinner." She didn't even flinch, just smiled and said, "I'm free." The silence shattered. A few people laughed outright and a couple tried to hold it in. I heard Daryl mutter, "Damn," under his breath. My wife looked like I'd slapped her in the face. Eyes wide, mouth open, words stuck somewhere in her throat. I didn't mean," she started stammering. I shrugged. "Hey, you made the rules." Then I grabbed my beer, turned back to the guys, and picked up right where we left off like nothing had happened. I didn't even get 3 steps toward the cooler before she stormed past the folding chairs and grabbed my arm. "What the hell was that?" she hissed, fingers clamping down like I was about to sprint off a cliff. I yanked my arm back. Not hard, just enough. "Get your hand off me," I said, quiet but sharp. She backed off a little, but her face was twisted, cheeks flushed, eyes glassy. "It was a joke, okay? Jesus, you didn't have to humiliate me. You're drunk and pissed because I didn't crawl into a hole like you expected." I started walking toward the driveway. She followed, barefoot on gravel, wobbling in that too-tight sundress she'd worn to look single. "I was kidding, babe," she said, tone climbing, like she was trying to rewrite the whole night in real time. "You're blowing this way out of proportion." I stopped at the edge of the driveway and faced her. "You wanted to explore? You should have come to me, privately, like an adult. Not at someone else's barbecue. Not with a damn microphone in your hand." She crossed her arms, tried to roll her eyes, but it didn't land. Her mouth opened, then closed. Finally she said, "I was testing you." There it was. The truth. Ugly and stupid. I stared at her. "You tested me? What is this, middle school? You don't test your husband by announcing to the block that you want to screw other people. You talk to him." She started blinking fast. "I thought you'd laugh. I thought you'd know I was joking. You've been planting the seeds for this for months." I shot back. "All that crap about needing space, freedom, rediscovering yourself. The secret phone lock. Late nights at the office. Emotional boundaries. You weren't joking. You were waiting." She didn't deny any of it, just stared at the ground like it might swallow her whole. I leaned in just enough for her to feel it. "You lit this fire. So now we both get to burn." She looked up, stunned. "So you're really gonna take Lena out?" "I already asked," I said. She already said yes. I turned back toward the house. The porch light had clicked on, and people were grabbing purses, saying awkward goodbyes. Maria was inside collecting cups. Daryl stood by the cooler, watching it all with a beer in one hand and that unreadable look he always had when things got tense. She chased after me, still half whispering, half yelling. "You're punishing me. You're just trying to get back at me." "Nope," I said as I opened the screen door. "I'm just finally playing by your rules." Inside, the crowd was thinning out fast. I heard someone mutter, "Damn, that went sideways quick." Plates clinked. A kid cried in the living room. Someone shut a cooler hard. My wife stood in the middle of the hallway, arms still crossed like she could hold the night together with attitude alone. "You're not actually serious about this," she said. I didn't answer. I just kept walking. Daryl caught my eye as I passed. He gave me the tiniest nod, respect, pity, maybe both. I nodded back. Then I stepped out the front door, alone, the heat of the night still thick on my skin, and kept walking to my car. The house was dead quiet when I got back. I didn't bother turning on lights. I went straight to the guest room, shut the door, and sat on the edge of the bed, still fully dressed. I stared at my phone, didn't do anything with it, just let it sit in my palm while the silence settled in. No texts from her, no apology, no anything. It was close to 1 in the morning when I heard the front door creak open. Soft footsteps, the shuffle of heels getting kicked off. Then a long pause, like she was trying to decide if I was worth the walk down the hall. The knock was soft. I didn't answer. She pushed the door open anyway. Her eyes were puffy, makeup smeared halfway down her face. Her voice cracked on the first word. "Can we talk?" I didn't say no, but I didn't say yes either. I just waited. She came in slow, arms wrapped around herself like she needed something to hold on to. "You embarrassed me," she said, barely above a whisper. "That was cruel. What you did with Lena." I stared at her. "You announced to 30 people that we were in a free-range marriage, like it was a game show prize. You expected me to just sit there and smile." Her chin wobbled. "It wasn't supposed to go that far. It came out wrong. I thought it would make you, I don't know, wake up." "No," I said. "You thought it would make you look cool, like some badass woman who doesn't need permission. You stood up and told the world you were done pretending we were monogamous. You made that bed." She looked away, swallowed hard. "I made a mistake." I stood up. "You calculated that. You drank, you built up to it, you picked your moment. That wasn't a mistake. That was a move." She started crying, hands covering her face. "I didn't think you'd actually go ask someone else out. I didn't think you'd do it. Well, here we are." She dropped her hands and her voice dropped with it. "You're just doing this to punish me." "No. I'm done playing dumb and loyal while you flirt with the idea of other men like it's harmless fantasy." I stepped closer, dropped my voice too. "How long's it been going on with Ron?" Her head jerked up. "What? Don't play stupid. You and Ron. The emotional affair. You think I didn't notice? Late nights. Secret smiles. Weird texts. You think because you never physically cheated it doesn't count." She hesitated. Didn't deny it. Just whispered, "It wasn't like that." I crossed my arms. "You're not gonna gaslight your way out of this. You've been detaching for months. That announcement wasn't random. That was your launchpad." Her eyes flared. "I gave up everything for you. You were safe, stable. That's what I needed back then, right? And now you're bored. So you tried to blow up our marriage and act like it's evolution." "I didn't blow it up. You're the one chasing Lena now." I pulled out my phone without a word. Right on cue, the screen lit up. New message. From Lena. "Saturday's on." She had it coming. I smiled. Not smug. Not to be cruel. It just felt clean. Like exhaling after holding my breath too long. She saw the smile. "Are you serious right now?" I looked her dead in the eye. "You made the rules. I'm just finally playing too." She turned, stormed out of the room without another word. Footsteps pounding all the way back down the hall. I shut the door, sat back down, and for the first time in weeks I felt like I could sleep. I woke up to the smell of bacon and coffee. For a split second, my brain forgot what week I was living in. Then I heard her humming in the kitchen and everything came rushing back. I got dressed, walked out to the hallway, and saw her at the stove like it was 2019 and none of this ever happened. Table set. Scrambled eggs on 2 plates. Orange juice in glasses, not the usual paper cups. Morning, she said, way too upbeat. I made breakfast. I didn't respond. Just walked past her. Grabbed my keys and wallet off the counter. Hey, aren't you gonna eat? She asked, flipping a pancake like we were hosting a brunch. I paused at the door. You really think this erases what you pulled? She stopped flipping. It's just breakfast. No, it's pretending. And I'm not playing along. I left, drove to a diner, ate alone, didn't check my phone once. The rest of the week she kept up the act. Soft smiles, random texts asking if I needed anything, leaving folded laundry on the bed like it was some peace treaty. Then Thursday night she dropped the next bomb. I'm going out tomorrow, she said, with some girlfriends. Cool, I said without looking up from my phone. Enjoy yourself. She blinked, thrown off. You're not gonna ask where I'm going? Nope. You're really okay with this? You said we're free range now. I'm just respecting your boundaries. She opened her mouth, closed it again. Whatever speech she had planned fell apart right there in the living room. Friday rolled around. She left the house around 7. Full glam. Heels, lipstick, tight dress she hadn't worn in years. She looked back once before closing the door, like she expected me to chase after her. I stayed on the couch, watched TV, ordered pizza. Lena texted, "Still good for tomorrow?" I replied, "Absolutely." She came back around 11. Makeup streaked, red eyes, jacket in her hand instead of on. She didn't say anything, just walked past me and shut herself in the bedroom. I didn't follow, didn't ask what happened, didn't care. And that's when it hit me. I didn't even feel numb. I felt done. Next morning, I was at the gym before the sun even came up. Headphones in, hoodie soaked in sweat, punching bag in front of me like it had answers. For the first time in a long time, my mind was quiet. No second guessing, no spinning thoughts. Just me, my hands, and a clean rhythm. Clarity felt good. I showered, threw on a button-down, and was out the door by 6:40. Picked Lena up at 7 sharp. She walked out of her place like she had nothing to prove. Simple black dress, hair pulled back, no glitter, no drama. Just clean confidence. I opened the car door for her. She nodded like she expected it. Not surprised, not overly grateful. That felt good. Dinner was at this steakhouse about 15 minutes from town. Nothing fancy, but not a dive either. Low lighting, thick menus, solid bourbon. We got a booth in the back. No tension, no games. Just 2 people sitting across from each other like adults. I needed this, she said after we ordered. Something real, normal, with someone who doesn't talk in cryptic Instagram quotes. I smirked. So you have seen her posts. Everyone has, she said, sipping her wine. She wants people to think she's the next Eat, Pray, Love, when really she just doesn't like not being the center of the room. She's always been like that, I said. I just used to think it was charming. She wore you down, Lena said flat. The way she talked to you, the way she'd embarrass you to lift herself up. People noticed. I noticed. I leaned back. And you never said anything? You were married, she said, not apologizing. And I figured if you were fine with it, it wasn't my place. But no, I never liked her. Not from the first dinner party. I didn't argue. The food came. Steaks done right. No awkward pauses. No checking phones. No weird digs hidden under smiles. Halfway through the meal, she got quiet. Not sad, just thoughtful. Then she looked at me and said, "You know what I used to be like?" I shook my head. "I used to be small," she said, shrinking myself to fit what someone else needed. Laughing when I didn't want to. Changing my opinions so I didn't rock the boat. I won't do that again. That why you never married? I asked. She nodded. I got close once, but he didn't want me. He wanted a version of me that never challenged him. So I let it go. You regret it? Not for a second, she said. I'd rather be alone and whole than partnered and erased. That line hit hard. She smiled. That's why I like you. You're not flashy. You're solid. You show up. You're the guy people rely on when shit falls apart. I didn't know what to say to that. Nobody ever called me solid like it was a compliment. Over dessert, she ordered some chocolate thing I couldn't pronounce. She leaned in a little and asked, "Are you trying to save your marriage?" I looked at my plate. "I don't know." She didn't flinch. "You will. And when you finally do, you'll leave. Because once you know what you deserve, you won't settle again." She didn't say it to push me. She said it like she already saw it coming. And honestly, she probably wasn't wrong. We left the restaurant around 9:30. I walked her to the door. No kiss. No pressure. Just a quiet goodnight and a thank you that actually meant something. On the drive home, the silence didn't feel heavy. It felt like space opening up. Room to think. Room to breathe. And for the first time in months, I didn't dread walking back into my house. I just knew it was time to decide what mattered. And what didn't anymore. I pulled into the driveway and saw the living room light still on. Curtains open, like she wanted me to know she was up. I walked in and there she was, sitting on the edge of the couch, elbows on her knees, hands locked together like she was bracing for impact. She looked up fast when I closed the door. "So, how was it?" I hung my keys on the hook. "It was nice." "That's it?" she snapped. "Nice." "Yeah," I said, walking past her toward the hallway. "Nice. Calm. Real." She stood up like I'd slapped her. "You seriously went on a date with Lena?" I stopped halfway down the hall and turned. "You stood in front of the neighborhood and told them our marriage was open. Why is this shocking?" "You knew I was bluffing," she yelled, voice cracking. "You humiliated me." "No," I said flat. "You humiliated yourself. You made that announcement. You turned our life into a public stunt. I just took you at your word." She stormed closer, eyes full of something between panic and fury. "You're punishing me. You wanted me to feel this. You're doing this on purpose." I kept my voice low. "You're upset because I didn't crumble. Because I didn't beg or cry or try to win you back." She flinched. "This isn't you. You don't just shut down like this." "No," I said. "You've just never seen me done before." She sucked in a breath and softened her voice like flipping a switch. "Okay, look, maybe I handled it wrong. I got carried away. I said things I didn't mean. But this can't be how we fix it." I stared at her. "You're still trying to fix the image, not the marriage. You care more about how it looks than what it really is." She paced a few steps, tugging at the hem of her sleeve. "Are you in love with her?" "No," I said it without hesitation. "But I like her, and I respect her." She froze. That hit harder than anything else I'd said all week. "I respect her," I repeated. "Which is more than I can say about how you've treated me for the past year." Her voice cracked. "So that's it? You're just gonna walk away?" I shrugged. "I'm not the one who started walking." She looked hollow now, like all the fuel that kept her going had burned out. Her voice dropped to almost nothing. "I didn't think you'd actually move on." "No," I said. "You thought I'd sit still while you explored. That I'd just wait around until you got it out of your system." Silence stretched long and tight between us. She didn't speak, just stood there, blinking, breathing hard. I walked to the guest room, closed the door behind me, sat on the edge of the bed and kicked my shoes off. The house stayed quiet. Then my phone buzzed. "Lena, you're doing the right thing." I stared at the screen for a second, thumb hovering. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. I turned off the lamp and laid back, alone. And finally, completely okay with that. My phone buzzed again Monday morning while I was lacing up my boots. "Bradley, your wife's melting down. Heads up." I didn't ask what he meant. I knew. By the time I got to work, my phone had blown up. 8 texts, all from her. "We need to talk again." I was emotional. I didn't mean to lash out. "Do you really think Lena is your future? You're throwing away everything for a rebound." "I'm sorry, okay? Please respond." They came like punches, apologies mixed with jabs, spun in every direction like she was trying every door to see which one I'd walk through. I didn't answer. I stayed focused, stayed quiet. That night, I came home and she had the dining table covered in papers. Legal pads, spreadsheets, bank statements, some color-coded calendar she must have made in a panic. She looked up with this weird, hopeful energy. Okay, I've been thinking, maybe we don't need to define everything. Maybe we set some boundaries. Figure out a structure that works for both of us. I laughed. Sharp. You're trying to write rules now? She blinked fast. We need clarity. If we're going to have an open, I cut her off. You didn't care about rules when you were throwing grenades in front of our friends. You only want rules now that things aren't going your way. She stood up, hands on her hips. I'm trying here. You think this is easy for me? I stepped forward. You wanted freedom. You got it. You expected me to fall apart, and instead I had a steak dinner with someone who actually respects me. And now you're scrambling to shove it back in a box. It wasn't supposed to go this far, she shouted. Her voice caught. I didn't expect to lose you. I stared at her. You never had me. Not for a long time. She looked like I'd taken the air out of her. But then her chin lifted, eyes wet. Fine. You want honesty? I do have feelings for Ron. But nothing happened. It wasn't physical. I laughed again, but quieter. You think that makes it better? It was just emotional, she said, voice cracking. I was confused. You weren't paying attention to me. You mean I wasn't chasing after every mood swing and validation spiral? That's not fair. It's real, I said. You want the truth? I don't want to fix this. She blinked. What? I stepped back. I don't want to fix it. I'm done. She stood frozen, arms limp at her sides. You're serious. I'm more serious than I've ever been. I didn't storm off. I didn't slam a door. I just walked into the guest room and shut the light. And for the first time, saying it out loud didn't feel like failure. It felt like finally telling the truth. Next morning, I scheduled the appointment. The law office was in a small brick building behind a coffee shop. Nothing fancy. Just a white sign and a name, Margot Hall Family Law. She met me right on time. Mid-40s, no-nonsense face, clean blazer, firm handshake. We sat in a small room with a round table. No tissues, no sympathy mugs, just folders and facts. No kids? She asked, scanning the intake form. Nope. Finances kept separate? Always have been. Lease or mortgage? Lease. 6 months left. She gave a quick nod, flipped through her binder and said, Then this'll be easy. Fast if you want it. And just like that, the weight didn't grow, it lifted. I expected fear or regret, but all I felt was clarity. She walked me through the steps: filing, timelines, service, mediation. I asked a few questions, signed where I needed to, and left with a manila folder and a quiet sense that things were finally moving in the right direction. When I got home, the lights were low. She was at the kitchen counter unpacking Chinese takeout. I got your favorite, she said without turning. Orange chicken, extra spicy. I didn't say anything, just tossed my keys in the bowl and set the folder on the table. She turned around slowly. I saw Lena today. I looked up. Yeah. She was at the grocery store. I said hi. She didn't. I waited. She told me to grow the hell up, she said, voice thin. Said I weaponized feminism to cheat emotionally and act like a victim when it backfired. I gave a small shrug. She's not wrong. She ended our friendship. She was never your friend. You just liked the way she stayed quiet. She leaned against the counter, arms crossed like she was trying to hold herself together. Is that how people see me? You mean selfish, manipulative, emotionally reckless? I asked. Yeah, that's been the pattern. She flinched. You really think I'm the villain here? I think you lit the match and got mad when it caught fire. She stepped forward. We can fix it. I know I messed up, but we can go to therapy, we can reset. I'll stop with all the, it's already happening. I motioned toward the folder. This is already in motion. She stared at it like it was a death certificate. Please don't file it. Just wait a week. Let me prove I can change. I don't want proof, I said. I want out. The air shifted. She deflated right in front of me. Didn't cry. Didn't scream. Just sat down on the stool like her body gave out. I walked past her without another word. Went into the guest room and shut the door. First night sleeping in there. Bed was firm, sheets cold, but the silence didn't feel heavy. As I plugged in my phone, it buzzed. Lena, just checking in. You okay? I stared at the screen a second, then typed back. Me, yeah. Finally getting there. By the end of that week, the text slowed. The begging stopped. And for once, the silence between us wasn't uncomfortable. It was overdue. What surprised me was how quickly the support rolled in. Bradley invited me out for drinks, just the guys. First thing he said was, "Took you long enough," then clinked his glass against mine and added, "We've all seen it. You've been holding the rope while she played tug-of-war with your sanity." Even her cousin Amanda, who used to repost every overly filtered vacation photo my wife ever posted, pulled me aside at the grocery store and said, "I hate that it happened like this, but she's been spiraling for a while. You deserve peace." And the biggest confirmation, one of her own coworkers, Rachel, emailed me out of nowhere. Just a short line, "I hope you're okay. You're not the one who failed here." Apparently, Ron had rejected her weeks before the fish fry. Shut it down. Didn't want the drama. So when she made that little announcement in the backyard, it wasn't about liberation, it was desperation. She needed a win, or at least an audience. I didn't feel smug. I just felt released. Lena and I started seeing each other here and there. Coffee, lunch, a movie once, where we sat in silence and just shared popcorn like it was the most normal thing in the world. No pressure, no labels, no need to perform. She'd text me funny memes, check in about my work schedule, send me new gym playlists. It wasn't romantic. It was real. And that was enough. Of course, my wife tried one last time. She showed up on a Tuesday evening, hair soaking wet from rain, no umbrella, shaking in the doorway like a soaked cat. "I made a mistake," she said. "A big one. I lost sight of what mattered. I didn't move, just waited." She stepped inside without asking. "We can fix this. I'll go to therapy. I'll delete social media. I'll do anything. Just don't end it yet." It was the same voice she'd used to get out of speeding tickets and late fees. That breathy mix of guilt and charm. But this time it hit a brick wall. "I'm not dragging this out for another round," I told her. "It's done." She started to cry, but it didn't land the same way. Felt practiced, exhausted, and maybe that's what it really was. She was just tired of losing. The divorce moved fast. No kids, no joint accounts, no real assets. We didn't even argue over furniture. She got the couch she loved. I got my peace of mind. Honestly, best part of the deal. A few days after it finalized, Lena texted, "Drinks." We met at a low-key place near the water. Nothing fancy. She wore jeans and a hoodie. I bought the first round. We sat outside, cold air on our necks, and raised our glasses. I said, "To closure." She smirked. "To freedom." We clinked and drank. No fireworks. No confessions. Halfway through her beer, she turned and said, "Just so we're clear, I like you, but I'm not looking for anything serious. Not yet." I nodded. "That's fine. I'm not either." "I still think you're solid," she said. "You deserve better than what you got." I looked out at the water, then back at her. "Thanks. That means more than you know." We sat there a while longer, just two people who made it out of something heavy. And for the first time in a long damn while, I didn't feel broken. I felt steady, and that was enough. I was reaching for a box of protein bars when I heard my name. "Damn, man. Is that you?" I turned. Daryl stood there holding a six-pack and a bag of charcoal, staring like he didn't recognize me for a second. "You look different," he said, stepping in for a quick handshake. "Lighter or something." I laughed. "Life's good, man. Quiet. Feels like mine again." He gave a slow nod. "Been a hell of a year, huh?" "Yeah," I said. "Hell of a reset." We caught up for a minute, small talk about work, gym routines, who moved out of the neighborhood. Before we split, he said, "Fish fries next weekend. You should come." "Same backyard?" I asked. Same chairs, same cooler. He grinned. Less drama this time. Count me in. I did go. 1 year almost to the day since everything blew up. This time, no announcements, no performances. Just grilled catfish, cold beer, folding chairs sinking into the grass. Grace, Lena, but I'd started calling her by her middle name once she went back to it. Wasn't there. We still grabbed dinner every now and then, nothing more. No pressure, no undercurrent. Just two people who'd been through fire and came out clearer. She was dating again. So was I. Nobody serious. I focused on the basics, early mornings, solid meals, actual sleep. I played racquetball twice a week, hit the gym at dawn, took my nephews to the arcade on Sundays. Somewhere between fixing my credit and learning how to cook for one, I found out I didn't miss the noise. Midway through the fish fry, some guy, can't even remember who, asked, "Hey, whatever happened with your ex?" A couple people turned, kind of curious, but no one really leaned in. I just said, "She's doing her thing," and that was enough. No one asked more. Conversation moved on. I grabbed another beer and stood near the grill, watching the smoke roll off the fish. I looked around that yard and remembered standing there a year ago, beer in hand, blindsided and pissed. I didn't smile because I'd won anything. I smiled because I hadn't backed down. I stood up, right there in that exact spot. Best decision I ever made. Not for revenge. For clarity. For freedom. Do you think the narrator made the right call walking away? Drop your take in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.